So I wanted to talk about player choice. Two attitudes that I don't like very much are, first, having player choice in a game is usually automatically seen as a good thing. And second, some people like to advocate that every game needs that. I don't think that's healthy, that attitude. Do I like player choice? Yes, it's fun. I like it. It's, when well implemented, it is a very powerful tool that is exclusive to our medium. Is it a sure way to improve any video game? No, not necessarily. Is it the hallmark of any truly great video game? Definitely not. The problem isn't necessarily with the mechanic itself. It's mostly a symptom of something else. So we'd have to go back a little bit, and there's a question. It gets asked sometimes. Are video games from an art form? Well, yeah. I can understand the pushback from defenders of other forms of art. Like, if you don't play video games, you probably have a more narrow-minded opinion about it. And historically that always happens, right? That was the same thing with movies, for instance. They weren't seen as an art form. They were more like a distraction than anything else. They were not taken seriously as a medium for delivering stories and narratives and all that jazz. So yeah, I can understand the pushback from those guys, but we have the same pushback from inside too. Gamers, the gaming community, they kinda get divided in the subject for what I have seen. And a lot of people just see games as primarily a entertainment platform first and foremost, and maybe, just maybe, an art form in a very distant last. I think maybe that comes from a place of fear. Like, they think that if you're advocating for video games as an art form, then you're advocating for all games to be artsy and deep and contemplative, and they just want to have fun. They just want to shoot things. It can be both, right? It can be both. You can have both kinds of games, and you can have games that are both at the same time. Alright, so why am I mentioning this? Because if you don't see video games as an art form, as a medium for delivering narratives and stories, then you're more likely to prioritize player expression over artistic expression. And that creates one problem out of two. So the first one is, sure, it's fun to play a game and as a player have a say on the direction the story takes, on the outcome of the story. But sometimes the developers, they just have a story to tell, and player choice will take that away from them. An example to illustrate this point would be a man chooses a slave obeys. Now, that was a great moment, not only in that game, but arguably for gaming at large. And player choice would have destroyed that moment. It wouldn't have been the same, you know. They wanted to make a point, they had a story to tell, and player choice was just not a part of that. It was a meta commentary on player choice to a great extent, but it did not allow for player choice. And this can bleed out into other areas of game design, like, for example, open world games versus more on rails experiences, like God of War came out this year. It's a fucking awesome game. And the world isn't exactly open, but that allows for a more controlled narrative. And the game is better for it. It has a very powerful story. And that game wouldn't have benefited at all from having more player choice in it. You know what I'm saying? Another problem is if you don't see games as an art form, then you're more likely not to be concerned about the evolution of narrative, about the evolution of how the stories are told in our medium. So you can have a great story, but when it comes to the narrative itself, about how that story is delivered to you, video games haven't evolved much. We're still learning a lot about how to do that properly, about how to actually capitalize on all the strengths of our medium, about how to use all the tools that are available only to us as gamers and to the developers as artists. Player choice plays into that. So, for example, I don't like binary choices in video games, like a dialogue choice with a clear outcome. Oh, it's either this or that. There's no impact. I think it has to be more organic than that, and I think it needs to be more encompassing than that. You know, dialogue choices are okay. You don't have to ditch those, but we need to grow beyond that. There's a game called the Stanley Parable, and that's a fucking great game. It's really cheap and short. It's on Steam. I think it's on a discount right now. It's like $3 or something. Go buy it, play it, support the developers, and have fun. You know. It's not a fucking great game, no, but it's really good for one particular reason. Two, actually. First, because it's actually fun and funny. And second, because it pushes the evolution on this particular subject. It's a walking simulator. I don't like walking simulators very much, but this one is very interesting. Come on, man. Where the fuck was I? Well, the Stanley Parable. It's great for one particular reason, and that being that it pushes this particular subject. Being a walking simulator, it doesn't have a lot of mechanics, doesn't have a wide range of mechanics to work with, but every single mechanic that is available to the player and to the developer They are all weaved into the narrative. Everything you do is a choice, everything you don't do is a choice, and every choice you make matters to the story, to the narrative, and the game responds to it accordingly. It's fucking great, man. I realize this is actually hard. That's a very small game. It's much easier to do it in such a smaller scope. But we need to be pushing for it. We need to be demanding it and be on the lookout for it. And we need to be able to appreciate it when they actually take steps towards that end. So in this regard, player choice as we see it today is that's not optimal, that's not great. It still needs a lot of work. Oh, and that first thing I was talking about of the standards that video games should follow in order to be good, and about how it restricts the creative freedom of the developers. That we see that a lot, especially in the AAA business. They have certain standards they have to meet, they have certain lists they have to check in order to make their games. And that's how you get annual franchises. It stifles creativity, it staggers evolution. It's not good for anyone. Not for gamers, not for developers. I guess what I'm saying is we always expect developers to respect us as players. We need to start respecting them as developers, as artists. And we need to start demanding actual evolution from our video games. Not just graphics, polish. That comes with the territory. No, that's inevitable. That's gonna get better. But this will take hard work. And we need to start asking for it. So, I guess it's Christmas everywhere now. Merry Christmas, if that's your thing. And, yeah. See you around.